Today we are sampling the 3 different flavors of the Cadillac Optic. We have the newly released top-of-the-line sporty Optic V, and then the updated 2026 Optic all-wheel drive and rear-wheel drive models. Starting with the Optic V. The V series treatment makes it look sportier, gives it more power and performance. This one makes 519 horsepower and 650 pound-feet of torque, 0 to 60 in 3.5 seconds, and the range is rated at 278 miles. Moving on to the entry-level rear-wheel drive version. This one makes 315 horsepower, 332 pound-feet of torque, 0 to 60 in 5.5 seconds, and the single-motor rear-wheel drive is rated at the highest range, 317 miles. And now to the all-wheel drive version, which is how it first came out, the Optic, and they've given it quite a bit more power. This thing has been upgraded since it first came out. It's now 440 horsepower and 498 pound-feet of torque, 0 to 60 in 4.5 seconds, and despite the extra power, it actually has more range. It came out at 302 miles of range, now it's 303 miles of range, which is pretty impressive. From a visual standpoint, all the optics are going to look pretty similar between the rear-wheel drive and all-wheel drive. The easiest way to tell is actually the badge here on the back. So it says 700E4. The 4 means all-wheel drive, so it's a dual motor all-wheel drive one. 700 refers to the torque output in Newton meter, so that's how you kind of get the hierarchy. If we take a look here at the rear-wheel drive one, it says 450E. No 4, no all-wheel drive. This one is single motor, rear-wheel drive, 450, lower output. From another visual standpoint, I mean, they all have the same compact proportions. We have the flush door handles here and a really cool etched pattern here. The V does do a slightly different treatment, and they're actually all on 21-inch wheels here, but the V does get a distinct design. The front fascia, immediately recognizable as a modern-day Cadillac EV. They do a very good job tying in the styling with the lighting signature and the vertical blade DRLs there and the shield up front. This is the rear-wheel drive version, very bright orange color here. And if we get all the way to the V, this is where more of the visual changes happen. A lot of carbon fiber. Take a look at the size of this carbon fiber rear lip, this rear wing. That's actually pretty impressive. And then down below, we have like a properly cool carbon fiber diffuser. Take a look at those fins. It looks properly sporty. And then we'll have a V badge right here. No E4, this is all dual motor, all-wheel drive, no torque output, just the V logo, and it's pretty easy to tell the difference. It definitely looks sportier. They have different 21-inch wheel designs for the V, along with available stickier summer tires. And you see the little graphic here on this rear window changes. Blue is the accent color for the V. It's all over the interior too. Get another V badge down there, the same flush door handles, and a distinct front fascia. You can see, looks a bit more sporty and aggressive compared to the regular all-wheel drive and rear-wheel drive models. You also get carbon fiber front splitter here, and they change, oh, this is a fun little Easter egg. This little V logo right there, etched in. Pretty subtle, but the same lighting, but they just tweak the front end signature to make it look just a bit more sporty. Another interesting thing is, if we take a look at the charging port, this comes with a Tesla-style NACS, North American Charging Standard port natively. So the Optic comes with this style charger on all of them. They're all migrating over there. So it's a quick look at the exterior styling and comparing some of the specs between the 3 different flavors of the Optic. Now, let's take them for a drive, starting off with the V. All right, we're on the road in the Optic V, the new sporty introduction to the compact electric crossover for the Cadillac family. And the Optic itself, even in non-V form, already felt a little bit on the sportier side because it's smaller. They started off with the Lyriq, and then they went up Vistic, Escalade IQ, which is enormous, and the Optic is the baby one. Now, for an EV, this is relatively lightweight in the 5,000-something pound weight range, which is amusing because as an EV, we can say this is compact and light, but when something like a BMW M5 weighs this curb weight, everybody loses their mind. In terms of the power, it's pretty good. 519 horsepower, 650 pound-feet of torque, avoid some roadkill, all-wheel drive, dual motor system, it's actually pulling the motors from the Lyriq V. Not quite the same output, but this is a smaller little crossover. And they've done other things to give this the V badge. Now remember, V is not what we used to think of V. Blackwing is the top tier one, so they can apply the V series treatment to a car like this, to the Escalade V. They're not meant to be the all-out track ones. It's the mid-tier sporty ones. BMW has the same thing with their mid-tier M models. AMG has, like for example, a 43 AMG. Audi has their S models instead of the full RS. Does this thing have proper sporty credentials? Well, we're on the road right now. We can go into V mode, which lets you configure steering, suspension, brake feel, acceleration feel, motor sound, and I didn't read the last one. What was the last one? Probably something traction related. Competitive mode. But we're in regular V mode right now, which does unlock full power. Let's slow down a little bit and just punch it. Lots of generated EV noises. This does not have magnetic ride, which I find very interesting because traditionally a lot of the GM family performance vehicles come with mag ride dampers, which are fantastic. They can be comfortable, but also firm, help handling. The stated reason was they could hit the targets they needed with the CDC, the continuous damping control on this thing, and the packaging. Mag ride would not play friendly with the front suspension geometry. Roundabouts are always fun. So this thing will firm up a little bit in terms of the damping control. It's not, again, crazy over the top, but the whole thing does feel like it's tuned just a little bit more sporty. As a new GM EV, we have plenty of tech and luxuries, especially as a Cadillac, the big curved screen, no CarPlay, which I know upsets many people. And GM has just announced that they're getting rid of CarPlay for everything, which is also going to upset many people. We're actually passing by the GM proving grounds. Maybe we should make a pit stop and go yell at somebody. Personally, it's not as big of a deal for me. I use Spotify and Google Maps, so I do have an iPhone, but built-in Google is okay. But I get it. If you're used to Apple Maps, used to Apple Music, that could be a really big challenge. Another fun thing with the Optic, this is not Optic V specific, but the Optics, is it comes with Dolby Atmos for sound. 19-speaker AKG sound system with Dolby Atmos, but you have to use Amazon Music or I think Tidal. There's certain ones that have Atmos support, but then you get that full immersive surround experience. But since we're on the road, let's do a little bit more talking about the driving dynamics of this thing. It makes definitely very healthy power and torque, but that's easy for EVs, right? The threshold for power figures is so much easier with EV setups. What the Optic V is able to bring is just a bit more immediacy. Regular non-performance Ultium-based GM vehicles, so Lyriq, Optic, Vistic, the Blazer, like, they don't seem to be as sporty. Intrinsically, a lot of EVs get more sporty just by swapping to electric powertrain if you compare a gas versus EV on a similar platform. For some reason, the GM ones don't seem to lean that way. With the Vs, they've solved it. Same thing in the Lyriq V. You get more of that immediacy, you get a little bit more of the sporty drama. It does taper off once you get to about 60 miles an hour. It's that download launch, 0 to 60, they say 3.5 seconds with competitive mode. And we are going to try competitive mode on the skid pad, doing a little bit of autocross. So we'll see how this thing handles. But initial impressions of the Optic V are very positive. I like this more than the Lyriq V. It feels a little more compact. We're not losing out in terms of like interior space. I think the V treatment looks a little bit cooler with the carbon fiber accents. It's got a pretty legit diffuser out back and a lip spoiler on the trunk. All right, we're in the Optic V. And we're gonna do some more dynamic stuff in a controlled environment. We're on a track right now, but we're not actually lapping this track. We get to do 0 to 60 launch control, and then some autocross to feel out the performance of the sportiest Optic. Now you heard about the power figures, the redone suspension, everything is stiffer, sportier, obviously more power. So we'll start with launch control. We're in competitive mode. You floor the brake, floor the accelerator, and just release. No need to wait for anything to build up. There's 0 to 60 in 3.5 seconds. Drama-free, right on the rating that Cadillac says this will do. It's crazy how 3.5 seconds 0 to 60 in an EV like this was just so easy. No tire squeal, no drama. It just kind of went. It's almost boring, 0 to 60 in 3.5 seconds. It's kind of weird. It's quick. All right, let's do some autocross. So competitive mode uses some brake-based torque vectoring and also lowers the threshold of stability control. A little bit of understeer right there. All right, now we're in the all-wheel drive Optic, which they properly upgraded for the new model year. They gave this thing a lot more power. When it came out, it was fine, 300 miles of range, but the highlights were the design, really like the interior, and the more compact size. It just felt more dynamic and playful. Let's floor it there off the line. Yeah, it's definitely more than enough power for daily use. It's just after coming from the Optic V, it feels not quite as quick. We're kind of stepping our way down the lineup from the V to the all-wheel drive to the rear-wheel drive one next. But the Optic, I thought, was a really, really good entry point into the Cadillac EV lineup, just because of the more compact size. If you're trying to park it, maneuverability, and just the dynamic feeling of it was definitely a step up. Because, I mean, everything's getting so big. You get out of the Escalade IQ, and you feel like you were just driving an entire city block. They are enormous. This is like a Miata in comparison, right? A little bit of exaggeration, but it's just so much smaller. And even in regular non-V form here, it's a really nice to drive entry luxury crossover because of the interior, I think. They did a really, really good job with the details. This one still has so many cool things. Look at the blue accents, right? It doesn't have the same level as the V, like we don't have blue seatbelts, just regular black seatbelts. Some of the other accent touches, but that entire door pocket is blue. You have the accents here. You get this very, very light gray, almost white seating here, and the cool contrast materials, lots of cool different textures, and it feels high quality. Just like the Lyriq, everything you touch and feel should be bespoke to Cadillac. No parts bin specials in this one. You're not supposed to find stuff in this car and then go in a Chevy and be like, wait, that was the same thing. Or in a Buick, oh, that was the same thing. They definitely want to make it feel a little bit more special. And the Optic all-wheel drive here with the updates, definitely welcome. And I am most impressed that it kept the same range. It actually improved the range. You get more range and you get more power and torque. I would be a little bit upset, a little bit peeved if I bought a 2025 model year, because I'd be like, really guys? Come on, I just got this thing, and then you just made the next model year so much better. But if you're shopping for an entry, small luxury crossover, I think this thing is really, really compelling. In the Cadillac lineup, if I'm not going for the all-out Escalade IQ, I think this one is the one I personally would want to have as a daily driver. I actually thought about it for my wife, Angel. I was like, ooh, the Optic V could be interesting if she gets bored of her Macan, because the Macan EV is so expensive. Take a look at Macan EV prices. They're well into the six figures. I was like, what? So the Optic V is a bargain in comparison. But this regular Optic too, I was like, you know, this is really, really nice. Super Cruise is fantastic, available here in the little baby one. Yeah, I definitely like this, and it's nice getting to feel the difference. It's riding more comfortably. I noticed less road noise. I attribute that to the fact that even though they're both 21-inch wheels and tires, these aren't as aggressive of a summer compound in the non-V version, and it definitely rides more comfortably for sure than the V. You have some drive modes. The differentiation between the personalities is going to be substantially less, right? Going into competitive mode in the V, the rear end will step out. It'll let you do a little bit of that, have some fun. Whereas this is more conventional, regular Cadillac formula. All right, last but not least, well, least amount of horsepower, the rear-wheel drive version of the Optic. The range penalty is actually not that bad going from the all-wheel drive one to the rear-wheel drive, or rear-wheel drive to all-wheel drive. It's like 317 miles to 303 miles, not a huge hit. The V does lose more at 278 due to the power output. So I actually think I would probably go for the all-wheel drive one unless you're trying to get in at the lowest price point and you do want maximum range with just the single motor rear-wheel drive. The good news is all the Optics are very well equipped. They all have the very, very nice interior. The screens are all the same. This era of like base model cars don't really feel truly base model anymore. I know we're in a Cadillac, so obviously the threshold has to be pretty nice to start with, but take a look at this interior spec, a totally different personality, this very rich, almost reddish terracotta hue, and then we've got the gray cloth texture there, and then the trim here on the center console is actually really cool. This is, I believe, made of recycled newspaper. You can actually sometimes see little like leftover letters and words in the contrast part, so that's a really innovative use, and it brings some just character into the interior instead of just shiny black piano plastic, right? I love all the various different textures. The details are nice too, actual metal things, you can actually feel them, and they feel higher quality. And even as a rear-wheel drive model, of course, we have Super Cruise, you've got all the different features, we've got the heated steering wheel here, the massage seats, so it's still pretty well equipped even as the entry-level powertrain. Now in terms of the performance, yeah, this is going to be the slowest, but we're at 57% battery, and it's showing 170 miles of range estimated, which is a lot more than the Optic V we were driving earlier. That was like showing maybe 140 miles at 50-ish, around this battery level. But we are also driving that kind of a little bit more like maniacs and having fun with it. So the rear-wheel drive version of the Optic, I think, would make sense if you live somewhere nice all year round. Arizona, Southern California, where you probably don't need the traction per se in winter situations. In terms of the all-out acceleration, if you are going for that, right, you're an enthusiast, you want fast fun, the Optic V is for you. And it's still a pretty good value. All of the Optics, I think, are a pretty good value because they pack all the tech luxury features that I currently really am prioritizing. The Super Cruise is going to be one of my favorites. GM Super Cruise is, in my opinion, the best right now, and they keep improving it. And I've tried Ford Blue Cruise, I've tried Nissan Infiniti System, I've tried Rivians, Lucid, like there's a lot of them now, right? They have to be competitive. But Super Cruise being one of the early ones and one of the best mapped ones, enhanced Super Cruise once they got to the like automated lane changes and all those kinds of things, it doesn't drop out that much. Yeah, that's much more gradual. I spoiled myself going from the Optic V down to this one. But yeah, Super Cruise is good. I definitely like it. This was really cool getting to try out the different flavors of the Cadillac Optic. Obviously, the V has all the bells and whistles. That's the fun thing. It looks the coolest, the sportiest. It's got all the carbon fiber, upgraded brakes, so forth. These are more comfortable. The rear-wheel drive and all-wheel drive ones. Big upgrade in power for sure without sacrificing range. And it still reminds me of all the things I really liked about the Optic. I really do think the baby Cadillac EV is one of the nicest ones in the lineup. If you're not going for the all-out flagship Escalade IQ, you don't need all that space, this thing I think is pretty compelling. It does feel like they learned maybe from some of the things in the Lyriq. Lyriq was the first one, right? And they have improved and continued to create this platform and this experience. I like it. I like it. We're shopping for a luxury EV crossover. It deserves some consideration. Hope you guys enjoyed this comparison video, taking a look at 3 different flavors of the Cadillac Optic. Which one would you buy? Which one would you go for? Would you take this over a Ioniq 5, Genesis GV60, Mustang Mach-E? Oh man, there's gonna be a lot of options. Tesla Model Y. What else? Audi, maybe Audi Q6? Is that the one that would be in this kind of segment? Yeah, there's a lot of them. Anyways, hope you guys enjoyed this video. Thanks for watching.